Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Conrad. This is Shannon. Amen. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today is, what is today? It's the 11th of July.
Sure.
So, 2022. So, if you guys are keeping track at home, that is 10 years, 7 months.
Yep.
So
It's the year of Emmett Smith, dude. 22, bud.
it's Emmett Smith's year.
Yep.
It's that's about the only 22.
That's
Tony
it.
Dorsett,
Oh, Tony.
one of the original Cowboys running backs after post-slavery.
Yeah. Tony done do it again.
Tony Dungy, or Dungy as you
Right.
call him.
I call him Dungy. Yeah.
He was a 22, I think.
Tony Gruden.
John Tony Gruden. So yeah, thank you guys for stopping by Conradio. This is the OK Taco Shed Show. So
Dang it.
we are here, and we have a tale to tell you. We always do, but
Oh, for sure. There
this
is a tell.
this
Big
day in particular, this Monday, this 11th day of July, we're both back. We're both alive.
Yep.
All of our limbs, all of our fingers, our little toes are all intact after just an incredibly rare weekend.
One would call it a whirlwind. One would.
Yeah, just
And they wouldn't be wrong if they called it that.
we had an experience that most people in this country and beyond, actually in some other countries it's pretty common, but in this country, pretty rare experience.
Yeah, if you're talking about Buzz Lightyear,
I'm saying, dude,
to the hunt and beyond.
there are some descendants out there that are fighting off wild hogs every day, and
Oh, yeah, we get it.
I get it now.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of Americans.
Know nothing about it, man.
That-
They don't know the struggle that is,
Mhm.
the farmers in the South that have to fend for their lives, basically.
Fend for their lives from a pack of wild hogs. We went hog hunting this weekend.
Yeah, fend for their lives for not only them and their family and their youngins, but their farms and their animals that they might have on the farms. And out here in Oklahoma, man, I tell you what, they'll do really bad stuff to a weed field. You know what I mean? They'll go in there and scratch it out.
Oh, if you're growing THC, marijuana, cigarettes,
Yeah, if you're growing medical, especially medical marijuana
Yeah,
out here, and
pigs
you run
know.
into a bunch of hogs,
hogs know it, dude.
whew,
Hogs
cuts into your bottom
walk
line, dude.
together, dude.
I just-
Hogs eat together.
Yeah, they do. They flock together. A flock of hogs.
And when the rain comes in and the storm is cold, hogs eat together.
They do.
Yeah. And so somebody hired a couple gentlemen
Yeah.
to promote their lodge, where they then charge waterheads like myself and Shannon
Hello.
to go, sit in their lodge
Yep.
and then kill animals.
Right.
And I liked it because I thought that's good. These are pests. These are
These are
ruining the ecosystem.
nuisance.
They're nuisances. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're nuisances. This is good.
They're
And
10 nuisances.
come to find out, when they bus them in, when they're
Yeah.
just bussing them in by the thousands,
They go get them from Texas and figure, hey, if you're destroying Texas, you know what we need?
we'll just have you come destroy this state.
We'll grab them and bring them to
Yeah.
Oklahoma. Slowly move north.
Yeah. So when you look around, you're like, holy crap, dude.
There never used to be hogs here.
Yeah, there's never hogs, or there's never boa constrictors in Georgia.
Nope.
But I knew they got into Florida. How'd they get here?
Right.
Ding dong, some jackass went down to Florida,
Yep.
bought a bunch of boa constrictors, and brought them to your state.
Yeah. Hey, next time you go out in the back and you got your above ground pool and you're like, hey, temperature's right. Careful, there might be a group of piranha in there. You don't know.
And then
Your
you'd say, well,
neighbors
how would that get there?
Neighbors did it. They trucked them in from the Amazon and they shipped them in and they just put them in your pool.
Yeah, exactly.
'Cause
So
I guess you could just transport animals. We don't, it might be a question for
a lawyer.
or Joe Exotic. But my thing is I didn't figure. I figured there'd probably be hogs in Oklahoma anyway, and there are.
There are, but
But the ones that are sauntering around right now is probably from outfits like this that might have got away from, their farm,
yeah,
which is, I think you'd probably want to put up more than just a couple lines of string, to keep. I know it's twine, baling wire, and I get that's pretty stout stuff, but it's not protected. I mean, it's about the size of Random Dude. It's probably 80 acres, maybe a little bit more. It seemed like it was smaller than Random Dude.
I think it was smaller, probably half as big, and a lot of that was shed.
A lot of it was the lodge.
Yeah.
That looked like something out of, I don't know.
It was
something out of Yellowstone.
Yeah, it's a Barngonium.
And I've never seen one full episode, but how you see premieres and stuff, like, oh, they're back, and they show some huge Barnonium in the back that some guy's crawling out of.
Ranch.
Yeah, it was a Dutton's ranch.
And, okay, there'll be a couple episodes that deals with this because it's necessary.
Sorry about that. Yeah, but hopefully you'll show your teeth.
Yeah, the setup is, we agreed half-heartedly while doing a show. So that's one thing that needs to be remembered. And it can't be, what LT, our friend and cousin-in-law or whatever he is, however he's related.
My
nephew-in-law.
Nephew-in-law.
Right. So, and we like him. He's been part of the show before. And
good guy.
And we do enjoy him.
Yeah.
And so when he called and we're doing a show, he doesn't know we're doing a show. In fact,
no idea.
Doesn't believe that even if we say, yeah, we're on the show right now, they're like, there you go.
Right, and they just talk about
and they just continue. They don't believe that you're doing a show.
They don't. Yeah, they don't say, hey,
how do I listen to this? Or
or really, you may call you back, because you guys seems like you guys are busy.
They don't care, and so it said, hey, we're going to go hog hunting. I think my brother and I, but we were wondering if you guys wanted to go, and because we're doing a show, we're like, yeah, sure.
That sounds great.
That's what we say because we're, you're in the middle of saying yeah to everything because you're
trapped.
Well, you're entertaining, and that's what you do.
That's what you do.
You're continuing the conversation, so you continue to say
yes. Sounds good, bud.
Here you go, bud. And so we said yes. Immediately turn up the microphones, kind of find out more about it, and then I'm like, I'm not doing that, dude. I can't pay $700 to go hunt hogs,
pop a couple hogs,
and you're like, I don't want to do it either, dude. And then you got roped in at a Easter or something where he's like, you got your deposit, dude. I already paid.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I need some money from you guys.
So then you gave him money.
I don't know how I had money in my wallet. Like normally when someone asks me for something, like my wife says, "Hey, we'll stop and get some gas. You got any cash?" No. I'm poor.
I have this gum.
I drink water.
Yeah. I have a pocket full of water.
Yeah.
But you had money and you gave it to him, and then all of a sudden that locks it in.
Well, you're locked in now. Now you've got some place. These guys are writing your name down on sheets.
And what's so funny is, had I known that the punishment
was only $100,
right, I would have not went. I would have gave you the $100, but I didn't know. That's again another thing that you don't know.
Yeah.
Because you would think that if I didn't go, Eric didn't go, you didn't go, they're missing out on $1,800 to be more of a punishment.
Yeah.
But I don't think there would have been. They just been like, oh, those guys didn't come. Well, I got their deposit.
Yeah.
Okay. The next time I'd gladly lose the $100. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you don't then get to live the story. A lot of times what we look at, we say, well, there'll be a story.
I got a text at 8:30 in the evening Thursday this last weekend. So it's been, and they said, hey, can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Here's a link of the place, in case you don't need it. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow.
And the key word is tomorrow.
Tomorrow. And it's 8:30, and I'm like, okay. And they did say, I'll be there around 2 o'clock. But in my mind, I have to now make a phone call to not only Conrad, but Eric, a buddy, and say, hey, guys, I really hate to tell you this because I hate hearing it. We're supposed to go hog hunting tomorrow. We said we were going to do that. I don't blame you if you tell me no or if you laugh at me, but I feel roped in, obligated. So I guess I'm going. Yeah. And the first person I called was Eric, and he said, I don't know if I can make that happen. I will try. See you later, Cling. And then I said, okay. And then I called Conrad, and he said, yeah, that is the worst phone call ever. Actually, I called you twice. That's why you picked up, because you figured something happened. Or,
right. Exactly.
Hey, I need help getting my wife out of,
I figured your wife drowned or
I don't know, whatever.
Whatever.
And no, that's not the case. It's worse news, but we have to go hog hunting. And he's like, oh, I remember when we were talking about that 6 months ago. And when is it? Tomorrow, in a couple hours. Okay, well, I guess, all right, I'll get going. Do we need a license? I don't No,
Yeah.
here's, you know.
And then, yeah, you do, but do you?
No, you don't. You just
They don't
get 5
care.
numbers. They don't care.
They don't
Just-
check anything.
By the way, if you go with Hog Hunt, just pick rando 5 numbers and write
Yeah.
them down. They're never going to check or penalize
And by the way,
you.
if you're out of state, they don't check.
They don't care.
If you're not legal, they don't check.
It's a site they set up
Yeah.
in an office real quick, and they receive an extra $26 from you. That's it. That's what that's for. Because there's no one coming checking. You're hunting private land. No one cares what you're doing on private land, especially if you're hunting pest animals.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about someone let a bear go and you go shoot a
Right.
bear, a polar bear.
Yeah, we're not.
I mean, we're doing that next year. I got roped into that, so we're hunting polar bear in Oklahoma next year.
Well, and then it's not like we're buying deer tags or goose things, and they got to limit the amount, because we're controlling the population.
And it's
nothing.
It's nothing. It's not about poaching. I mean, Texas is overrun with these hogs, and I guess now you got
Look,
people.
Ted Nugent will take you up in a fucking helicopter
For sure, and shoot them, dude.
and you can shoot them with an AR-15 or
Absolutely.
whatever they used at Uvalde.
Yeah, exactly. So we did it, and I giggled, and I said, well, this is bad, but it's going to be good for the show because we're going to have some stories.
Yeah.
And bing bong, guess what? Yeah, that happened. And so I don't know what you talked about. So
I introduced.
I could pick up from where you left off.
Well, yeah.
Where you left.
But so I did a recap a bit of day one. Okay. So basically, I've introduced the characters, but I'll just to keep it consistent.
Sure.
Is I had Daniel Dirt, the mullet guy, Joe Dirt.
Yeah.
And I had LT's brother.
Did you describe him? You described him with the mullet and everything?
Yeah, I just had the mullet.
Take Ted Nugent, but with Downs.
Yeah, Down syndrome Ted Nugent.
You
will be the same guy I'm talking about. You guys. And then LT's brother, LT, and I think I called him like the Tank Top or Luke Bryant. Whatever. Tank Top Cowboy.
He had a weird name that I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either.
Rolando.
One of them's name was Ricky, but I think it's a fat one.
Ricky was the bearded one, yeah.
Yeah, and then
Chris, which was there, but you didn't get to meet him because he was there and gone. That's the guy that claimed the hogs. With
yeah,
the huge
I didn't know
dip in. He put a whole can of Copenhagen somewhere in
his face,
bottom face, yeah.
And then there was Jordan, which I think I just called him Jordan. So it doesn't matter what I talked about. We'll just go back and you might have to relive a couple things, but that's okay.
That's fine.
It's always an issue, though. We got our stuff. We don't know what to bring. Nobody's told us. We don't bring any
sleeping stuff and food because that's not provided.
And even the food is not.
I mean,
clear.
No,
because now you're coordinating with a bunch of dumb guys.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, where are you? And they don't tell you anything. No. Like, I don't know. I might stop and get a cookie or something on the way.
I
just
don't know.
To snack on.
I'll eat this Little Debbie. Cake real quick.
Which is all bullshit because they all brought stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why can't you guys just, I don't know, start a group text saying what everybody's bringing or nothing. There's none of that. That would be smart, and they're not smart. So
they did say bring food stuff, so I guess it was just up to us. Like, here's some chips.
Right. And then you almost feel guilty.
Yeah, eating their stuff.
Because you're eating their stuff, even though what you're eating is a crappy pack of salami and a $1 loaf of bread.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you guys are welcome to have some. Oh, really? You're so gracious.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
Really? Thank you. Oh, man, it's like Jesus woke up.
I'll bring this $60 bottle of whiskey.
Have
what you want.
I don't want any.
Yeah, looks gross. I don't drink whiskey. We met the cast and characters, we didn't know we were going to go out that night. We had no idea because they had no itinerary. They basically left it up to us, but what do you mean? I mean, for I think everybody, no one had been hunting. I mean, hog. So they didn't know kind of how it works. They know there was probably a tree stand or some sort of stand involved. So we said, there was a bunch of guys that are chopping the bit, want to get out there. Obviously, they come out at night. You guys got feeders, so they're going to be around at something. So we got in a side-by-side. We went out, and me and him, me and Conrad sat next to each other. And it was almost like fun. It was almost like funny, is what I should say. So I just loaded one gun with a couple rounds and just put it between us. And hey, if we see something, great.
Yeah, there's no prepper. It's not like we got our camo on and we sprayed ourselves down with scent remover and we don't know if that's what you do anyways because nobody said anything. And I mean, we can use our best intuition or
It's like
our farmer sense,
sure,
but we've never done it.
We had to kind of remember that one time we saw a TikTok video of wild hogs running through the woods and be like, I think they won, I think they stink.
Yeah.
Dude. And other people that told us that they went on a hog hunt or they've done it before or whatever.
And really, nobody has. Everybody we've talked to in our life says, I wish I could go hog hunting.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever actually done it. So we don't have advice from anybody, and they didn't give us advice, the two idiots that run this one.
No.
And the guys that we went with, they brought everything.
They brought everything.
But they didn't know what they were doing.
They brought everything and nothing. Because I read everything they put on the site, which basically is nothing. But I did see they had a 100-yard range to dope your scope if you wanted to, which you don't need to, by the way. And they had a skeet shooting place.
Which they don't.
They don't. Well, they actually did. You missed it. Because they have that stage I was talking about. They got a stage over there.
Oh,
Was you there for that?
No.
Did I set it as a stage?
I saw the stage.
Yeah. That is actually a platform for throwing. Yeah, that was right there. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We shot skeet. I brought skeet. I was the only person to bring skeet. I was one of two that brought a shotgun, and that was only because one of the guys was using slugs to shoot hogs, which that was a risk because you don't know. I mean, because it doesn't say on the site, hey, you got to use 223 or bigger. It says it when you get there.
Yeah.
So if I'm from Colorado and that's all I have, guess what? Bing bong. Go buy another gun or go back to Colorado. And by the way,
I could have killed the hog with my 20 gauge.
Yeah.
From where I was shooting.
Where you was shooting. You could have thrown a Chinese star, so it doesn't really matter. And so we were sitting out there, and we traded shots. We only saw a billion late at night, and so we kind of looked at each other. Well, this is easy. And he tagged out, and then from the second that one dropped, he said, "Oh, good, I can go mowing." And I was like, I knew he was going to do it, but I was kind of hoping that he would stick around because I had an idea that this weekend was going to get dumber, but with more memories. And I try to keep him abreast at 1 o'clock in the morning about what's going on. Yeah. Whether or not he's asleep or still on the mower, I didn't care. Because he'll read it in the morning or he'll read it when he gets off the mower. And we needed it
because you were giving me a live update. You know what I mean? So if Luke Combs gets mentioned
anywhere,
text me.
One of the guys' cousin, I guess, is a country music star. Jordan somebody, I can't remember his last name. I apologize. I should remember that. I messaged you. Sorry, it wasn't on Facebook. I was just going to do it as a reference. Conrad left, and then I was around there for the day. He took me back home. I stayed around Random Dude Ranch for a little bit, got some more stuff, got back in the truck. Yeah. Loaded the cooler to take at least Conrad's hog. I didn't have any at that night, which was fine. I missed a really easy shot and because I can't see animal. And the next day, after we shot skeet, and two of the guys that already kind of tagged out, one of them got one hog and the other got two. That was Daniel got two, and Jordan got one, I think. He might have gotten two. And so you could pay for extra hogs, but I don't know what that price was. I never heard that price.
It was, judging by the board, they wouldn't tell you.
Yeah.
It was $150
extra
for per hog.
Per hog, yeah.
So DS Ted Nugent could have paid it, and I don't know what he does for a living.
You're about ready to find out.
You figured that out. And
I told you I would. I would investigate what these guys do for a living.
Jordan was like a crackhead giant. I would say he's crackhead Shrek. Jordan was.
He's big into wrestling.
Well, he's a huge man, but also comes from crackheads.
Yeah.
So he's a crack baby.
Well, not all
systems.
His I guess he admitted his mom was, but he got out and did well for himself. He works for the railroad.
Well, a lot of people that come from crackheads will do better than their parents.
And that's what he said. He said, a lot of this stuff is if you revel in the struggle, like we are, of trying to get more fans for shows. If you revel in the struggle, it makes you stronger. So when stuff does break, it becomes a little easier for you because you can remember back when, you were doing everything. I mean,
when he was breastfeeding onto a crack nipple.
That's right. When he was breastfeeding. And so...
This milk's crack, Mom!
Those two were drunk by...
I'm 48 months!
They were drunk by 10 o'clock in the morning. No breakfast. Everybody talked about...
Well, they got up... We left at 11 to take you back, or 12. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was nearly noon.
Right, no breakfast.
Nobody was even up except...
No one was even up. No one was there. The guys wasn't even there. No one was there
It's
if
like,
you even wanted to hunt.
how late do you guys
The
sleep?
only person that got up was LT.
Yeah,
he got up at 5 thinking we were all going to go out and hunt in the morning. And then it was later at about 1 o'clock, the guide said, oh, we don't ever really go out in the morning because it never pans
That's
out.
got to be bullshit.
It is bullshit. It's those guys want to take a weekend and just sleep in and get completely hammered and do whatever they're doing out there and then wake up.
There's no doubt that those pigs would be out feeding in the morning.
Absolutely. You could have. I could have tagged 2 that morning, and that's what I told LT. I was like, we should just go. You know what I mean? We know. You know, and if they get mad, it'd be like, well, I thought you guys wasn't here, so we figured we'd just go out to where we were.
Yeah,
you know, we know the way. We just walked over there, and we could have tagged out walking there. That's how many pigs are on this property. I have no idea, other than they feed them, how they keep them there, because there's 3 trillion pigs.
Yeah, and it's probably illegal. A lot of the stuff they're doing is non-legal.
For sure.
And so, you know, we're going to leave some Yelp reviews that are negative, and I don't usually do that.
I won't, because they have my real address. So
yeah, shouldn't.
I don't want anybody showing up at random dude with a pistol or something saying, hey, you left a bad review. And you know,
and they might even have my address, but I don't mind.
Well, they have probably your Heston address, so you're fine.
That's true.
They'll just show up and probably kill the
tenants or whoever's there.
So it got on in the day. We shot some skeet, did really well there, BS with everybody, and I went and set from 6:30 to almost 10 o'clock. Saw one, got one, which I didn't get skunked. That's great. Had a nice peaceful time out there in the woods by myself, and got back. On the way to come pick me up, they ran over 2 pigs accidentally because they crossed the road. So that tells you how many pigs.
Yeah, it's funny. You sit there for 4 hours.
We're on a side-by-side, too. So, I mean, really, you could kind of just run around the land on a side-by-side and go hunting. You know what I mean? Like, there's a group over there trying to.
And why do they make it to where there's nothing sportsman about it?
No.
So why even put up the facade of it? Just get in the side-by-side and drive around and shoot
some hogs. There was guys shooting hogs off the balcony of the place we were staying. So, I mean, if you really want to be a sportsman about it, do a 200-yard shot on a pig that weighs 70 pounds.
Yeah.
That's sportsman.
That is, yeah.
And you could stay right there and enjoy a coffee or a tea or a nice water on the balcony under the shade with a little breeze blowing, and every once in a while get up and go in there and get an air conditioning and grab you a sandwich and then come back out to the dock and, you know, just look out there with binoculars. I've been more sporting. Anyway.
Yeah. So this segment is brought to you by Black Rifle Coffee, everybody.
It sure is. Black Rifle Coffee is delicious. In the
Black Rifle Coffee,
11 o'clock when you wake up.
It's American made, so you know it's good. It's a little bit expensive, but you're paying freedom when you buy it.
That's right.
And so it's not Brown Rifle, it's not Green Rifle, it's Black Rifle.
Freedom,
guys. It's a bag of freedom. It's a ground up freedom.
That's it.
So when you think that you lost a freedom,
full bean or ground, bud, you can ground it yourself.
Sometimes you sit around and you're like, did we lose a bunch of freedoms?
Put a pinch between your lip and gum.
We did lose freedoms. We ground them up and we made Black Rifle Coffee.
We sure did. This is sponsored by Black Rifle.
Thank you,
when we
Rifle.
got back, some hogs got cleaned really quick, and then the drinking was on, and it did not stop. That party did not stop until 2 in the morning. Okay, much like an Ice Cube sang back in the 90s. I had all 90s country music, which if anybody knows me, that's my private hell. And Disc Jockey was going through them all the time. At one point, Daryl looked at the DJ and said, can you play Don't Take the Girl? And I about...
Take Jimmy Johnson.
Take Jimmy Thompson. Take my best friend, Bo. And this has been a big thing.
By the way, there's no women there.
No.
There's no women. There's no potential for women. There are 4 stinky men.
Yeah.
No. 5 or 6.
There was
1, 2,
6
3.
in the grove, and then 3, kind of. Mostly 2,
1,
so 8.
Yeah.
But that night, Conrad left, and then the other guy was, so we had 6 or 8 or whatever it was, and
of all grown men,
and they're all
ages 40 to older,
pushing 50, and younger.
So when you say what is it, an 18-year-old man that wants to listen to
Nope.
It's a 40-something-year-old man that wants to listen to
Don't Take the Girl.
Don't Take the Girl.
While everybody's drunk, and here's
that's
the deal.
Down syndrome Ted Nugent, everybody.
There is a lot of I would call it sexual tension. I think they're all lonely. Even if they have wives or girlfriends or whatever, they're all lonely because they get drunk and they start hugging people like, man, I really enjoyed this weekend, and then you heard a lot of stuff
Wait
like,
a minute.
you heard a lot of stuff like, God, dang, this is a great song. They just don't write them like this anymore. They were listening to '90s country, which destroyed country music 100%. And here's the deal: I'm not a fan. I don't own any records of any of these artists, but I know every word because it was so overplayed. I couldn't go to a restaurant. I couldn't go to a gas station. I couldn't go to anybody else's car. I couldn't sit in traffic next to somebody in a huge lifted, crappy truck.
I would say
blaring
'90s
it.
country was the first COVID.
It was,
You know
and
what I
I
mean?
barely survived it.
It was a pandemic, and people thought, just like with the vaccine,
Sure.
people thought like, okay, maybe I do need this in
That's
my
right.
life.
That's right.
And people were manipulated and
Right.
hypnotized into it.
Right.
And now a lot of times there's nostalgia for it.
It is. There's a lot of nostalgia, and people go back to it, and they get the COVID by choice.
Yeah, they get another vaccine. They get a booster shot of '90s
For sure they
country.
do.
And I, myself, who probably was more manipulated by it than you,
Oh, you were way
Yeah.
submerged in it
Yeah.
more than me, and I
but I
didn't-
broke free, and it
from your
maybe
bank.
I must have broke free from my bank. Maybe getting COVID really, or maybe just doing the show.
Reset,
Probably,
reset
10
your
years
brain?
ago,
Yeah,
my brain got reset at 10 years ago.
I
when
would
I started
hope so.
doing a show, and then all of a sudden things started being more clear for me.
and more funny for you because you can't say
Well,
you
that's
can't
what I
have a
showed you.
lyric. You can't have a lyric take Tommy Thompson without laughing just that one lyric. But
And
you
we
can't
brought
do
that up many times on this show.
For sure.
And we brought up other 90s country stars with their belt buckles. And
Yeah.
I played those for you. And we've mocked them. And so when these
A
guys,
lot of George Strait.
on Friday night, when these guys were alluding
Yeah.
to their fandom of that,
Yes.
not putting me through it, but
Right.
alluding to it by
Alluding to
talking
it.
about it,
Yeah.
I was visibly uncomfortable.
I
my
was
body
shaking.
language,
I was shaking.
you were
'cause it was-
shaking.
It was around, and I kept on side looking at you, and you side looked at me, and
And I can see where this is headed. If
We have to go
drinking
home.
continues,
yeah,
this will head in a direction
That's right.
of man hugs.
it did. It
Oh,
did.
no.
It opened up, and
Oh, it opened a man hug?
yeah, and even worse.
Hey, Shannon, I don't know you much, but I do
They
appreciate
did not
you.
hug me, and they got
No,
the
but,
feeling that
hey,
if
let
they
me-
did, they something would
Let me
happen.
can I just hug your leg a
Uh,
little bit?
Nope,
Can I just get in there?
no. But
While
let me
the
tell-
song is on, let me
yeah,
hug your leg.
let's change the subject. This is a great song. Let's talk about the lyrics because everybody remembered them. Everybody knew it. They all sang along. So that's around, let's say, 11 o'clock. Now,
Okay.
I'm still waiting for a steak that I had purchased because they were running into town. They said, hey, I got 6. Do you want one to throw on there? I absolutely. And he's like, no, man, you spent all that money on all those shotgun shells and all the skeet you brought out, and I didn't contribute nothing. You brought whiskey and stuff. I'll buy you a steak. And I was like, well, that's nice. And I handed him a fistful of cash. I said, just buy me a
He
steak.
wanted to hug you there right there for a second.
Did. He did. He leaned in for a
Oh,
hug.
no.
He did, and I didn't reciprocate. I just said, "Here's a fistful
You got
of
to
cash.
Elijah that, dude.
Just
You
buy
stand
whatever.
there
I
like-
don't even care." He's like, "Well, what could
Wouldn't
you
into
want?
you.
What could?" And I was like, "I don't. Whatever. I don't. It's going to be horrible. So just grab it. And so they did. And that was nice. And so when I got back, I'm instantly hungry because this guy didn't eat lunch. I mean, he stopped by random dude, and I grabbed a little bit of snack because I didn't have any breakfast. And I took a Jack's frozen pizza I was going to eat last. I threw it in the side. I saw it was already prepared.
Yeah.
But everybody got steak, and that was on the steak. Now we're on steak train, and I'm starving. I got out of that side by side, watched them clean some hogs, helped them a little bit, and kind of sit back and learn and say, hey, is this any different than cleaning a deer? Yada yada. That was done. Meat was put away. Everything was done. You were there for yours, so you knew how that
Yeah.
went.
Right.
And back inside, everybody's still drunk. Everybody's just plastered. And so go inside, listen to some music, and all of a sudden, Jordan walks up and says, "Bud, this involves you. I got a great idea."
Well, also, what were the drinks that were being passed around?
Frank, big guy, Frank.
Jordan.
No.
Oh, Frank.
Bearded guy.
Ricky.
Sorry. Okay, Ricky reached into a freezer in the kitchen of this huge mansion that smelled like cedar because it's cedar plank throughout, and grabs a bottle and sets it on the counter and then opens it and then pulls the bottle out of the tube and sets it down. And I instantly know what this is.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I don't need to do that. I hadn't been drinking. I was completely sober.
Sure.
And he said, hey, I'm going to tell you guys something right now. Grab that around. I'll tell you something. Tequila in Mexico is so much better than anything you can buy in the United States. No one believes me. I've been saying that for years.
Well,
they didn't know I lived there.
It also comes from Mexico.
Yeah.
So
The one that somebody I told, but they were drunk at the time, they had no idea. They didn't remember that I lived there. So I just smiled and grinned and bared it. I didn't want to get in that conversation like I lived there, and I agree. I didn't say anything. I was like, oh, what is it? Play like I didn't. Oh, and then I saw that sticker from Mexico. It was actually some pretty good tequila that I've had before. And they were doing shots. You want one? Nope. We're all doing them. So even the guys that didn't like alcohol we did a couple tequila shots together. And there was some side hugs.
That'll hug you up.
There was some side hugs and there was some tears.
Yep.
And that was great. And then we went outside because someone said, hey, you want a banger? And I was like, no, I don't need a banger. What's a banger? Watch this. And he turned to his buddies and said, hey, guys, you want to go off for a banger? And they both turned around and said, a cigarette? Yeah, I'm in. We call them bangers. When you've been drinking, none of us smoke. We dip, but, we talk about, hey,
bangers. Let's
go outside and get a banger. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, because they're.
Do you want one?
They're 40.
No, I'll come out and have a I'll have a cigarette with you, but I'm not having a banger. Cool that they know that you guys got some sort of code going on. So we go out, have a cigarette, and that's when it started. Jordan looked right at me and says, "You're involved in this, drunkly." I mean, this guy. Everybody had been doing shots. We had Fireball, I think, was in there. Some shots of whiskey, sure. A couple shots of tequila, fine. And they all had at least a case, around a case. The only thing I really drank, I had one shot of tequila, and I had an apple, because I told you, an apple bush or bush apple or whatever it is.
Yeah, but you're drunk on love, dude. There's a lot of man love going on.
There's a lot of tears and a lot of man love. There's a lot of.
Now, is LT
I
awake?
love this song. Oh, he's there.
Okay.
For this. Now, he ate a sandwich. Dude, you got a dove on top of this roof. That's the first time on this podcast I can say that for sure. That is a dove on the top of this roof. He ate a sandwich, went to bed. Now, I mean, we're talking about as soon as he went back. So he wasn't there for all the shots and the getting on and whatever. Jordan looked straight in the eye while being fully drunk. You're in on this. Shannon, you're in on this. I said, what, bud? He's like, we need to do some night skeet shooting.
Okay.
You're the one with the shotgun. You're the one. You got everything. Let's do some night skeet shooting.
Smart, too. After a case of bush apple and some tequila.
Daniel looked right at him and says, hey, we ain't getting behind no barrel when we're drinking this much. That's not a good idea. Daryl saved the day. I was like, hey, here's the stuff. You guys knock yourself out. Just don't kill
each other.
Don't kill each other or yourself with my gun, because I have to explain that to the authorities when they come. That's not mine.
Or you just,
I just let it go.
destroy the documents that they were there.
Yeah, throw the bodies out in the hogs and take care of itself. And that's what was going through my mind. Finally, thank goodness for Daryl. Mark that down. That'll be the last time you'll say that.
Yeah, that's the Ted Nugent fella.
Well, then Eric, which is my nephew-in-law's brother, which I love Eric, and he doesn't normally get drunk, but he grabbed his 22, which is super awesome. This thing is got a silencer on it where you hear a click and then you hear the thud of the dirt. That's all you hear. There's no bang. It's the quietest gun I've ever heard in my life.
Hitman gun.
It's a hitman gun, and he got it, and he was going to go out and shoot some targets with that 22.
Smart.
Thank goodness for Ricky. Ricky comes to the safe. I got some fireworks. Put that stuff away. We don't need to be behind a barrel.
What?
I got some fireworks. And I'm going to the house, and we're going to pop off some fireworks. I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
Because I'm sober enough to put out
cats.
fire. I'm not so sober enough to grab a live bullet out of the air when it's going towards someone's head. I'm not that quick anymore.
The Matrix, you're
he
not a
comes
Matrix.
back with a box of fireworks half the size of this table. One of the big ones where you light it off and it has 15 million balls and it goes up. I know LT's asleep, but he ain't going to be for long. So pop, pop, and pop, pop. Everybody's screaming. This is a great song. They're giving hugs. They're cheering. They're they're drinking more beer. Fireworks are going off. Now, this one firework is $60 firework. You know, I haven't bought fireworks in years, but I know how much they cost. I've been around enough fireworks and saw enough stickers on the side of them to know what this costs. He went back in the house and got another big one, same size.
Yeah.
He went back in the house and got a trash bag of mortars. That went on for another 30 minutes. Then he went back in there and got a couple more boxes. I'm watching. He popped off. I'm not kidding. $1,000 worth of fireworks. $1,000 while I'm listening to George Strait.
But he
while
fits the whole. You know, he fits the fireworkman. He is a fireworkman. You know, when you wonder,
and after he was done, he says, "I'm going to go burn the boxes." So we had a huge fire. Of course, he threw some gasoline on it, and it was a big old line. You know, and I don't know. I'm watching the whole thing now. Toward the end of it, I know this is a long story. Toward the end of it, there's one thing that I promised my buddy Conrad that I was going to do is get to the bottom of Daryl, because Daryl, throughout everybody, is the weirdest character, and I got to find out what he does for a living.
Well, he's got the Joe Dirt haircut. I mean, he's got the scar on his face.
Huge scar on the face.
He told me he weighed 250 pounds, but he looks about 180.
The only other story that I was super mad at Conrad, because it could have paid for all of our stuff, and it could have paid for everything he's done in the last 2 months. Because someone said, I will bet anyone $5,000 that you can't arm wrestle Daryl and win.
Well, and Daryl's got, I mean, I'm pretty confident in my...
I am super confident, yeah.
In my ability to beat Daryl, but he does have some of that DS strength. He does.
But my money would still been on you.
He's a muddy boy.
And I didn't say anything, and I bit my lip again. Like I bit my lip on tequila, like I bit my lip on fireworks.
No, because you don't want to start that.
I do not want to start anything.
You guys would follow me, and
no one would remember what the hell I said anyway. They're too drunk and gone. I could have said I was president of Uganda, at some point. No one would remember. So I was mad at you from that, because $5,000, that was a lot of money. That, I mean, as far as that someone would just blurt out, like, I will gamble $5,000 right now on anybody that wants to take Daryl down on arm wrestling.
That would have been a nice payday.
I set that out for sure. I would have paid for at least the trip, and I'd pay
partial fireworks.
Yeah, partial fireworks. I sat next to Daryl. There was a porch swing out in back of the wraparound, and I sat down, and he sat next to me, and I said, "This is the time. I'm going to fulfill my promise to Conrad." I said, "Daryl, tell me about yourself. What have you done in your life, man?" Well, I spent a couple years in the copper mine.
Oh,
Daryl? You were a miner? Yeah, I spent a couple of years copper mining. I said, that's probably back in Arizona. Yeah, I was back in Arizona. And then I spent 2 years traveling around with a carnival.
See, that makes sense. It checks out. That checks out. He looks like a carny.
He smells of small hands and cabbage, dude. Yeah. He's definitely a freaking carny. Yeah, he's a gypsy guy. That's why he never used salt. I mean, he ate salt. He ate the lime salt. But that's just to keep him away from the gypsies that he worked for 2 years.
Yeah.
You want to guess what he did for the carnival?
Did he run one of the stations, the Papa Balloon station, give a prize?
He knows. He knows because he's seen Daryl. I wish I had a good picture of him. I need to become Facebook friends or something with Daryl.
If the person who made Gumby made a human, it's Daryl.
If Joe Dirt ate Joe Dirt,
if you melted Joe Dirt and then put them back together,
Sweaty Teddy with Downs. I don't know how else to explain Daryl.
It's like when God went to sleep on that seventh day.
Yeah, and said, "I'm done.
I'm done for a little bit. I took a break. I've been up for 7 days."
Somebody
else went in there.
Forgot it. Yeah, played around with the kid.
Or somebody got the human kid out.
St. Francis.
And started mashing a bunch of skin potatoes together.
And that's Daryl.
And spit out a Daryl.
And by God, he's still out there walking around. So this guy did 2 years, and he told me all the states he went to. God bless him. It wasn't the balloon breaking thing, but it was the legit. This is his words. It was the legit bottle throw. Okay, it was
the ring throw. Ring toss.
Bottle throw. where you get stand up 3 bottles and you throw the ball and knock them all down and get a prize.
Legit though.
Yeah, but it was legit because it was the big size, not the half size, which I didn't know there was a difference, and I didn't know they had different sizes, but I do now.
Yeah, there was never really any reason to investigate that,
And then someone wandered into that conversation, and I can't remember. Oh, it was Eric, and Eric is plastered. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and he says, "Hey, I don't want to interrupt, but that seems like a pretty good gig. Why didn't you stop doing it?" Eric. Yeah. Poignant question.
Right.
Points for you for
then being he leans over. You guys feel like a little bit of mashed potatoes right now?
You guys want a hug?
You guys want I'm going to go make some mashed potatoes.
No. Daryl, I looked him straight in the eye and says, "Hi, girl. I dated a girl for about 4 years. I did everything. I came home, cooked my own dinner, packed my own lunch, paid for everything. She didn't do anything. All she did was go out with her friends, get drunk, and I was okay with it until I had to start carrying her in. I had to wake up. I was getting ready to go to work the next day, and I had to get up at like 1 in the morning and carry her from the car into the house. And I took care of her kids, and I'm like, oh, Daryl, come on, man. Go back to the carnival, dude.
Yeah, what are you doing,
That's the free.
You're taking the girl right now, Daryl.
He says, man, it was great. I could smoke weed every day. And, you got to. Here's the deal. Most people don't know about the carnival. You got to have short hair. You got to dress the part. You got to smell good. You got to bathe. I mean, you got to be on your game. I'm like, Daryl, you don't. That is not right. None of that's true, Daryl.
And look at yourself.
Buddy. You might have done it. I don't know. But
I've been to a carnival. That's not true, Daryl.
He's worked at Copper Mine and worked at the carnival, and then he had an accident. But
what happened to Teddy? Teddy Daryl.
This guy's got a huge scar on his face, and I was kind of wondering if the conversation ever get to it, and it did. Naturally, I didn't have to ask him about it. It was really nice. He went through every close death experience he's ever had. But let's talk about the scar first. Conrad, what happened to Daryl to have that scar? Daniel? Am I saying Daryl?
Yeah, it don't matter. I thought that I'd overheard that he had lit a firework and it blew up in his face.
No. Now, I'm not saying that didn't happen.
I'm sure it's happened.
But that's
not what caused this scar.
Created the scar.
Could it be a dog attack?
That'd be a great guess. No. I'm sorry. I'm going to give you another hint. It wasn't at the carnival where you had the accident. It was at the copper mine.
So a mine caved in on him?
No.
One of the machines? Stuck his face in one of the machines?
One of the machines, but what kind of machine, buddy?
Probably a drill.
Nope, power sprayer. He was cleaning out pipes that were coming out of the mine with a power sprayer, and the mine power sprayers, they don't have the nozzle. It's a straight jet to get all the rock and debris out of these pipes. And he was working on a small pipe that he knew better not to do, and the gun kind of got away from him, and the trigger was on. And so it hit the ground and sprayed up in his face and cut his face from one lip all the way up to his ear. And then, as he was trying to get away, it sprayed right into his leg so bad that it just ballooned his leg up into a bag of water around his leg so bad that when he got, wait for it, airlifted from the mine to the emergency room, they took the water out of his leg, but they had to put saline or something so his skin would stick back to his leg, or they had to amputate his leg. And of course, all that was paid for. But because he quit that job when he was recovering, and he got another job that paid more, he got no compensation from the mine at all, other than, hey, we paid for your airlift.
Daryl, you got to get a lawyer, bud. That's not okay. It's not right. I mean,
nope, it's not. And I didn't go into that at all. I didn't say, Bud, you could have owned that mine, or at least half of it. But I didn't get into that. And then he went on to various other accidents. One climbing a tree and almost getting impaled, driving a three-wheeler without brakes and almost running into a road and getting hit by a car. A lot of close accidents. Well, he's been through the ringer. God bless him. I love him. He works on the railroad now. He lives in Kansas with the rest of the guys that run the railroad, and he's living his best life. Best other than the man hugging and the great country music and hunting hog and getting drunk, and finally got the steak at 2 o'clock in the morning, grilled by Daniel. I asked him. I said, "I'll do it." I mean, you've tied a few on. I can grill some steaks.
Yeah.
Oh man, I got it. I like it. I mean, it won't be as good of steaks as if I was sober. I'm sober.
It would be nice
I hate to tell you
have
this.
something that we could eat.
We could eat. He cooked the perfect steak. Now the cut of steak was not good. I mean, it was T-bone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it left in the refrigerator and not like thawed out or whatever. So a cold steak on a hot grill,
frozen,
little chewy, but perfectly cooked. And if you don't think I had a big potato with that he cooked earlier, you're wrong. He had those potatoes on that grill since 12 o'clock that afternoon while I was hunting hogs. So it was delicious.
They're done.
I've never had a man take a plate from me, but Jordan did. You done your potato wrong, bud. You just put butter on it. So he grabbed my plate, mashed my potato up, put ranch dressing and a bunch of salt and pepper and a little bit of extra butter, and slid it back. Try that. It was good. I mean, it wasn't, but I ate it, and I told him it was good, and it wasn't, and it was fine. He was just trying to do something for me. I think he was just trying to earn a hug. You know what I mean? He did turn to me and overheard me say something about when I moved to Oklahoma, I worked for Job Corps, and he went through Job Corps, and he shook my hand, and he's like, you employees do make a difference. I decided to work at Job Corps. I said, that was really nice. And I think that was also a bait and switch and one hug.
Yeah.
All a bunch of good guys, well-meaning guys, just not my bubble. I mean, really just not anywhere close to my bubble. I would like to stay in touch with them only to find out the next accident that Daryl has, or if he goes back to the carnival or whatever. He's a character. They're all characters. And the best thing that happened is, like any other podcast, other than probably this one, they talk about their drug abuse. And at some point in life, Daniel took something, and these words were said. I didn't feel anything, and then all of a sudden I'm naked in the front yard. And I'm rolling around, and I look back at the porch where I was sitting, and I phased through my clothing.
Phased through.
And I said, what? Repeat that. What?
Joe Durr is explaining.
I phased through my clothing. And I said, what? Explain that. What are you talking about? He says, I looked back to where I was sitting on the porch, the chair I was on, and my shorts, including my boxers inside my shorts, laying on the seat. My shirt was laid over the back of the chair. My hat was on top of that shirt. My shoes were off with my socks in my shoes, and I was completely naked rolling around in the front like I just phased through. I didn't remember taking off my clothes. I phased through them. And I said, well, that makes sense. That's just science.
Yeah.
You take enough bath salts and stupid stuff's going to happen, So
that's the only
I
way
got
you
to
can.
learn about everybody and their mushrooms and their heroin and their mescaline and their I don't know, the spice and bath salts. And they were saying stuff that I've never heard of. I mean, the street names that I could have, I tried to write them down. I just wasn't quick enough because I was singing Don't Take the Girl. But that all happened. So we paid a lot of money to go hunt hogs. They gave up all of that money in fireworks and alcohol, and they're out probably doing it again today. They did mention something, though. These rich people come in and they night hunt with their night optics, and they take 20 hogs at a time, like one dude. So just figure that price up in your head, and it's just crazy. I don't know if they just do that for their food for the year.
And I touch on this when I recap, and you've touched on it. It's a different bubble of person.
We've been touched.
But the problem is, it's sad when we find out that not only did we think that we lived in the middle with the never will be's and the never done it's and
the Kraken.
Yeah. And you think, well, I don't fit in with those rich people.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't at all.
No.
I can't. There's no common ground.
No.
And I can maybe understand what they're saying, but they don't want to hear me.
No,
and
they don't care about what's going on.
So you don't fit in. And then you think, well, but I'm fine. These people would probably be more like my style.
They would get me.
And then you get around them and you realize, uh-oh, this is a different bubble.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know this bubble. Maybe I forgot that this bubble existed, but it's a lot bigger than I thought it was.
Right.
And that's where these people are. And they just go to work. They went to work today and talked about hog hunting in a totally different way than what we talked about it.
Right.
They talked about it not on a podcast, but to other people who are trying to get their job done.
Yeah.
And they told them that they, we said this, and they told them the whole story. Yeah. And then they probably said it again at lunch and kept going. And they'll say it the rest of the week, maybe even the rest of the year.
Sure.
To anyone.
I'm sure I'm on several videos around that. And they'll say, well, see, you got
this is Shannon.
He looks like Colonel Sanders because he's got the beard.
This is Shannon. He's a guy, he lives down there.
Yep.
This is Shannon. And he got one.
Yep.
Shit, I don't know, though.
I don't know
anything the night about before. I bet he shot 100 times.
Yeah, he shot 100 times. He couldn't hit the broadside of the
bar.
But he ended up getting one. I felt sorry for him. I think somebody else shot it. It don't matter. Yeah. I don't know anything about him.
There was another guy, I can't remember. Big guy.
He left.
He
got two and left. I guess he's a halfway decent shot. I don't know. He shot 100 shots, but he got two.
They were shooting more than anybody.
Anyway, that was that.
So what did you guys do this weekend? Probably just sit at home? Because I went hog hunting.
Mescaline.
Take some mescaline, do your thing,
good.
go out dancing, go to the club.
Did you phase through your clothing at any
time
this week?
Go
clubbing, stretch. How many women did you get, How much you take back?
And they can't cook, and they, and we can.
God bless them. I mean, and to be honest, it's salt of the earth, dude. This is what's out there, and they're all good guys, and they're all just trying to make their way, and they're all got jobs, and they're doing their thing. I got nothing about it, but I also can't relate. Now some people can. You would relate. We can all relate to something. I couldn't relate to all the wrestling stories and having kids into wrestling. I couldn't. You could.
I could have. Yeah.
But I can relate. I can relate about having a job and having a life and whatever. I can relate to that, or having a passion about nature, or wanting to get out or go fishing or hunting. I can relate to that. But there's a lot of stuff I can't relate to. That's just not. It's just not down my alley. You know what I mean? And imagine one of them coming to one of our shows. They'd be like, it's just not my thing, man. I don't know nothing about them.
Well, they can't keep up, and that's, that was what was evident the morning, that first morning when they were sleeping. And I get it, they're drunk, they're hungover, but at the same time, they only drank like 7 or 8 beers.
Yeah.
So you would think they went to bed at midnight,
right?
8 hours. It's like, no, we're 40, we need about 13 hours of sleep.
Right.
And when they would mosey by and sit down, as we were, LT and you and I were sitting by the counter there, just telling stories.
Yeah.
They just were like, I can't keep up with this.
I don't know how many stories. Yeah, I don't know how many stories they're busting out.
And they can't tell if we're joking about them.
I haven't even had my coffee yet, but it's just, just slow down.
Yeah, slow down, guys.
Slow down,
and talk more about something we're interested in, like Tim McGraw.
Yeah, let's talk about Tim.
And his second album,
Let's talk about Dollywood.
And we're like, a lot of that was what I felt. I felt like people were listening in when we were talking.
Oh.
Because we were usually referencing what they had said.
Yeah.
But it moved so quick that they would peek and they'd be like, what the, you know? Are they making fun of me? I can't tell.
No. We're not.
No,
I mean, we're
not really.
Not
I mean,
really.
yeah, we are, but, it's not for you. And then they would want to be involved, and that would make LT get up and leave,
Yeah. Well, what was the weird thing is at the end, when LT left, my buddy, I would assume that my nephew-in-law would look at me and be like, okay, we're going to go, and he did. It's like, next one I want to go fishing. Like Texoma, I heard that's really good, stuff like that. And he says, we should do this again next year. I looked at him, no. I have marked that off my list of things to do.
My life list.
And I can build a feeder. I don't want to pay for the corn, but maybe a little corn, and then I'll set up a camera and see what comes on. And I'm so close to this place, I know a hog's going to show up. So if I eat this hog and it's the most delicious thing ever, I will build a feeder.
Yeah.
And I will set it out there, and I will take down some deer and some pig on my own property and not have to pay $26 or $700 for a side by side to get dropped off in a hidey hole, and that's it.
Well,
Now they did quarter it, they did clean it out. That's nice. It's something you wouldn't have to do. But if you're that passionate about going hunting, you should be doing that yourself anyway. You know what I mean?
well, and if the reason for this was legitimate, the real hog hunter is just some landowner that every night goes out and shoots 50 hogs and leaves them lay.
Yeah.
Because they're bad.
Yeah.
But these people, it's not that. It is, it is a controlled
in Texas
infestation.
Yeah, in Texas it's come out and shoot hogs, and no one's taking them home.
It's almost like we'll pay you to come get rid of these.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is not.
Now they have other stuff that I understand why you pay. You want to go up in a chopper.
Yeah, that's fuel, man. That's helicopter.
It's fuel. It's helicopter fuel. It's all the stuff they have to go through. It's maintenance and all that. And I understand all that stuff. But if you're going to sit in a field and shoot a bunch of hogs, you're literally 2 hours from all the hogs you want to hunt in Texas. And some landowners be like, hey, you want to sit out in my field and shoot all the hogs? Here's $100 for your ammunition and your time. Thanks.
Yes.
See, or your gas to get down here. So.
Yeah, it was the wrong setup for us. It was, we don't fit in with those people, and that's unfortunate because you would think...
I fit in with LT. I fit in with his brother. His brother's, just to himself and a nice guy. And I like to fit in with Daryl or Daniel because it's just hilarious. Every story he says and the way he says it's great. It's just hilarious. But the other guys, I don't know nothing really about country music, and I understand that your cousin played with Luke Combs. I know who that is only because
we've made fun of him so much.
He's been around. We don't understand why he's popular, but and that's big. At one point, they both said, "Well, I can't wait until he makes it big, so I can just go work his shows." Dog, you opened for Luke Combs, and my small understanding, that's big.
Yeah. Being how everyone in the world knows him,
right?
Pretty big.
And you opened for him. You could say he opened for Luke Combs. End of story. That he's big.
Now you've lost a lot of respect from people like me, but
for sure, yeah, I would not want to go see your concert. I wouldn't want to go see your cousin. I'll look him up. It's Jordan somebody, and I'll say, give me a Jordan somebody that opened for Luke Combs, and he'll come right up. And I will look at his videos.
And I guarantee a lot of those songs are going to be about hugging your friend after drinking
and
a
red
beer.
solo cups and putting dips in
and drinking and dipping.
Tight jeans on the dance floor and
molesting women and
wearing Kmart cowboy boots, but she still looks good in them. And
oh god,
and fishing and stuff. And
it's awful. It was an awful. It was an experience, though. It was something that we don't have to do again.
Mark it off your list. Mark it off your bucket list. Not that was ever on our bucket list, but mark it, add it, and then mark it off. And I don't know. I got some in a slow cooker right now, so we'll see. We'll see if it's worth it. It might be greasy, and it might be sitting in my freezer for a while, and I might try to smoke some or try to cook it different, or I don't know. We'll see.
So we're gonna cook some. We'll let you know how that goes.
That's for sure.
The big news on the show moving forward.
Hey, if you made it this far,
yeah,
this is the important part.
This is the important part, guys. One thing that's happening is, as you guys know, we've mentioned that we're putting together our comedy special, which is it'll be a feature of, I don't know how long it will last. It will be a comedy bazaar from the past decade of hilarity, and we'll pick out the best parts, and if you have any that you remember, let us know. And we'll try to find them and cut them into the video.
We're not thinking series. We're thinking one, but we don't, it's 10 years worth of stuff. So, I know a lot of it's going to be on the old cutting room floor, but the stuff that's not cut could turn into something.
Yeah, and a lot of this stuff, as we're going through it, you guys will get to see because we'll be releasing little clips and stuff like that
bring you on the journey.
Various social medias, the TikToks and the little Facebook reels or whatever. So look forward to more snippets and content as we're building this special. And because of that, there's going to be a lot of archive digging. So, on the Patreon side, if you guys are kind enough to subscribe, we're going to put some of the old original stuff, the Connie G show, the full show. But as we're going through it, we'll just go ahead and post the full show on the Patreon side, which is embarrassing and I'm not looking forward to, but maybe you guys will get a kick out of.
Conrad looked at me and said, "That's a job for you." And but I'm from some of the guys that you they all are archive guys, you know. But
Yeah.
and I know it's always come up like, what was the first word said on the first show 10 years ago when you turned the microphone on? And here's the deal: you're going to find out, and then we're all going to figure it out together. And you can mark that down as a little piece of 10-year history of at least all of the shows that Conrad's been involved in, and it's going to be interesting.
That should be starting this week. I'm going to send Shannon home with that flash drive, and then we'll start putting together some video clips and clips. But also, in addition to that, we already have a female comedian that is going to be on Wednesday.
Right.
And I'll release, the clip that she sent me.
She's a hog hunter, so it'll be
interesting.
We'll have some in common for sure.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of common ground to talk about. And then 2 other comedians have reached out. They're not like well-known dudes. They're just dudes out there like us in the middle trying to make it happen. So I've touched base with them. They both want to come on, but we just have to figure out the day. Yeah. And those will be like interview shows that we will release on their own, I think.
They'll just be on the show for as long as they want to be on the show, and we'll try to do what we do and have conversations not about hog hunting, but about whatever.
Well, rather than splicing it in and doing a 20-minute show and then adding an interview to the end, maybe people don't like interviews. Okay, or maybe you really only like interviews. Now that's what it is. If you don't like it, skip it.
Right.
If you don't like the person, skip it.
Fine.
And you'll have your normal show for that day.
Yeah.
So that's the plan on that. So there'll be more content, and all that'll be free too. So the only thing that is will be excluded from the free side is all this archival stuff. So that if you want to hear how it all started, and as we go through this, some of those older shows, that will be behind the wall. Everything else is available on all the places you find this kind of stuff. So
but we ask you, if you dig what we're doing, and you're a fan of podcasts, especially comedy podcasts, and you want to see the adventures of 2 dudes that own taco trucks and other businesses, and just like to do this stuff, it'd be really nice if you had just drop $5 in the bucket. It's not that much.
No, it's less than 1 K-cup of Black Rifle coffee.
It's basically a zebra cake. If you look at it, especially in today's market. I mean, it's under a gallon of gas, for God's sake. So
buy us a gallon of gas.
If you can join in, you're going to have access to everything that we're getting ready to do. This is going to be a thing every day.
Yeah.
There's going to be so much more content created. There's already 500 some episodes behind the paywall. I mean, there's a lot.
There's 2 so paywalls that are hidden out there. There's all kinds of stuff.
You could go back and listen for yourself, and you're not going to run out, especially for the amount of stuff that we're throwing out there now.
Yeah.
Again. So
it's exciting because
even if you don't listen, $5 will go a long way, guys, and subscribing will go a long way. Even if you don't want to listen, if you just like us, you like to cut over a jib, or you just like this story about hog hunting, just throw us $5. That we would really appreciate it. It's not a lot, but it's more about subscribing and saying these guys are actually worth a subscription. Basically, that's all it really is.
And we want to put more of this stuff. We want to have there'll be a 10 a.m. show every day, and then on top of that, there's just going to be more stuff.
Right.
More shows, more bonus stuff, more all that stuff.
Well, and as someone of you might know, I did Mexico's Music Corner for a good 4 or 5 years, and that opened up the Conrad Jack Show and opened up some of our shows that we were involved in. I'm going to go back to do that, and just because I like doing it and I miss it, and I'm in a spot where now got the time, not that I didn't before, but just for more content for people behind the paywall, and there might be some other shows too. We might talk some people into getting back doing it and whatever.
Yeah, I think it's important to just to have a consistent show like we already do.
Right.
And so scheduling something at 10 a.m. that just gets released at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And then doing our live shows on Fridays with the other guys. And then adding me and you together, and then adding interview shows. It's just more and more stuff. So we're hoping that catches on. And
we hope you like it all.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you like one of the things or whatever, if you're lucky, it'll be free to you. But my thing is, dude, if you like it, throw us a subscription. It's not.
And then I want people. And the biggest thing is we got to do it where people say, "What do you guys do?"
Yeah.
This is what we do.
This is what we do.
So yeah, we do a podcast. We do podcasts.
Mhm.
Check it out. That's it. And so when people say, "Well, what do those guys do for a living?" They do this.
Yep.
How do they make it? Well, they don't make very much money right now.
No.
So spread the word.
Yep.
That's what we do.
Would we like to stop everything else that we're going to have to do
To make this
to
work?
do this?
Of course.
Yes, and it's not a lot. We're not talking about $1 million. We're not talking Joe Rogan money. We're talking about enough that we can pay our bills and do this. It'd be nice. That'd be great. That's the goal.
That's the goal.
And if it gets bigger or whatever happens. But it's coming at you, and it'd be nice to reach out.
It'll happen. You can't want something and be willing to work that hard for it.
Yep.
It'll happen.
Yep.
So we're looking forward to the adventure. If you guys want to be a part of it even more, just help us spread the word. Keep reaching out. Let us know if you have favorite clips or something that you want to hear, prank phone calls,
Yep.
different things like that. Just reach out. Send us a message on one of the social medias at Conradio.
Here's some more roundups. I'll pull. If you guys are familiar with the show already, just let us know what you like. I don't want to say like most, but what you really dug about the 10 years or however long you've been riding this with us. And we don't get us wrong, we gratefully appreciate it, man. I mean, for the little time and the 5, 6, 7 years that I've been involved or been back in this country to be able to do it with Conrad, it means a lot for other people to pop up and and to have a call back from the show. And it could have been a throwaway for us, but it hit you in the funnies, and seeing that, it means a lot.
Yeah, and we don't, you never know what any of that stuff is.
Yeah,
because it's different for everyone.
It's different for everybody.
Let us know what that is, and we'll be back with you guys tomorrow. God bless those hog hunters out there. Yeah. And thank you to Balance of Nature for sponsoring the studio, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate that. This little dome that we're in couldn't have happened without you guys out there supplementing your vegetable diet intake with
gummies,
nature gummies. Buddy.
Yeah, thank you for I hate a lot of things. I hate pedophilia. I hate
you hate the taste of cherries.
I hate pediatric cancer. That happens.
You've said that several times.
And guess what? I hate frickin' vegetables.
I know you do.
You know what I mean? I hate kale. I hate celery.
You hate broccoli.
I hate squash.
Yeah.
And so that's why I choose to take my vegetables through a gummy. And I hope you guys do too. Thank you, Balance of Nature. And we appreciate all of your support, Balance of Nature, physically.
Yeah.
And we can't wait to get some of that monetarily. So
and Winchester, thanks for the Hog Hunt. Thanks for supporting that. Appreciate that.
So with that being said,
have an okay day. No, really. Have an okay day.